the second thing, which to this day, I still believe is the most important thing we've done, was introducing
customer experience wisdom, a dash of travel talk. We've been cleared for takeoff.
The best meals are served outside and require a passport.
Hey there, CX Passport listeners. Welcome back to the show. Today's guest is Claire Bristowe, Market and Program Manager at Aegon UK, and the reigning International CX Leader of the Year. Claire came up through customer operations in financial services, in pensions specifically. And that is one of the most regulated corners of the industry you can possibly work in. Well, rather than letting that regulation squeeze the life out of customer experience, Claire went the other direction. Game shows, cartoons, podcasts, an engagement program that's racked up 30,000 hours of participation and 6 gold awards in 3 years. Oh, and she got there by running 53 research sessions to figure out, well, what would actually land with the people she was trying to reach. She was introduced to CX Passport by Frances Chaparro. I have a feeling Frances knew exactly what she was doing. Claire, welcome to CX Passport.
Thank you for having me, Rick.
I am excited about this one. Yes, and folks, you already heard. We are talking to Claire. She's over in the UK. I am over in Texas. It is going to be a fun, delightful chat across the pond. You know, Claire, I did mention that work of yours in financial services, and I specifically pensions. Well, how are you balancing the regulatory requirements and the customer experience desires when, honestly, those two worlds feel like opposing forces?
Do you know, it's quite interesting because although they feel like opposing forces, we're kind of actually supported by some of the directives that we have to do in financial services. So for anybody who has like a customer impact or a customer facing role or a customer support role, we do have something called an insurance directive. It's an IDD directive in the UK, where we have to do 15 hours of learning a year about customers.
Really?
And so for me, because that is a mandatory requirement for some of my colleagues, actually that massively contributes to the work I do, because I can say, as well as coming along to this game show and having fun and learning about our NPS feedback, you're also going to get 30 minutes IDD hours because it's direct customer feedback. So
I like that.
I do get what you mean. Obviously, we're heavily regulated, but the things that we're regulated on aren't necessarily the things that I'm trying to deliver internally, which is a better customer-centric behavior that's embedded across the whole of the business.
Yeah. Okay. So I was thinking about that because I worked at a bank in the US.
Okay. Yeah.
And even in spite of what you're saying, that like the focus is, how do we deliver a more customer-centric approach and that sort of thing. But even something like the documents that were sent out, because the regulation said X, we initially struggled to find how can we make these customer friendly. And so when you're thinking about that, even though you're trying to help people on the inside try to think with a more customer-centric approach, there's still that regulation overhead that can bog the work you're doing down. How have you broken through that?
Well, I think a way that we've done that is that we have a lot of physical customer presence within Aegon. And so what we do is we bring them into the design process with us. So, we know what part we have to script, or is it that we need to say this, but we're not mandated on the exact words. And so what we'll often do is either, user testing or live focus groups, which we actually did recently with our whole legal department on our T&Cs document, to say, how does this work? What did you read? What didn't you read? What made sense? What didn't make sense? And it can be as simple as saying, okay, Rick, I'm going to read a sentence to you. You tell me what I'm saying. Or it could be, okay, Rick, I'm going to read you a regulated statement. You tell me what else I need to say to make that bit make sense. So we know what we need to deliver, and we know whether that's like mandated, word for word, you must say this, or holistically we'd like this message to get across. But then we kind of go a step further where we can, and we'll do that like user testing, whether it's virtual, live, in person, and say, how can we best deliver this for you? What makes the most sense? And as well as being heavily regulated, like you said, obviously finance is complicated and it's emotive. So,
Uh-huh.
you've got to think about the fact that people are probably already a bit stressed about taking their
Right.
retirement benefits or making the right decision. But if you send a letter out that they also don't understand what they're saying, or they sign up to take a pension payment, which they can't send back if they don't want the money anymore,
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
understand it. That's really going to play on their emotions and their financial journey. So, yeah, it's just about taking customers on the ride with us. But we always say we're designing for our customers with our customers, and we mean that. We do it with them.
Yeah. Well, that example of I would love to sit in the room where somebody's reading legal jargon.
Yeah.
Like first you wake the customer up. Hey, wait. I know that you
Well,
lost
yeah.
you
And
lost
also,
consciousness there for a bit.
well,
But
we kind of set them up a bit as well, right? Because we actually went out to panel and we said, we want to do a live focus group. Our legal department wants 3 documents reviewed. And we only needed 3 people. We got 64 applicants for that
wow.
panel. So 64 customers was like, I'll read it.
I'll read you.
I'll read your
documents.
document. I'll tell you what I think. But then we got 3, and we did like our pre-meets. We made sure that they had quite different financial literacy, because again, we've got 4.5 million customers, but they're not going to have the same level of understanding.
Right.
So when I do host a live panel, I don't want 3 customers who have the same thoughts or the same beliefs or the same understanding, because that's not a realistic landscape for general customer population. So we did our pre-meets, and then we said, right, we're going to send you the documents now. And I didn't speak to them again before the live focus group, because the idea is the first time I heard their feedback was also the first time that the legal team heard their feedback.
Yeah.
And so it was real and fresh. But you would think that having a lot of professional lawyers in the room, having people who, they know what they need to say, our regulators told us what they need to say, they would be quite closed off to the feedback. But they loved it, Rick. They were so engaged. My colleague did like a survey, and they said they'd want another one, and can we invite them back? And they really got into it.
Hey there, CX Passport travelers. I want to let you know about CX Passport Live. CX Passport Live helps brands amplify their event's impact with the power of live, in-person podcasting. Brands partner with CX Passport Live at their on-site event to help excite attendees, reward high-value customers, and convert potential customers. Bring a new level of energy and excitement to your event and amplify your brand's impact with CX Passport Live. Learn more at cxpassportlive.com. Now, back to the show. This is what I love about so many times those of us in the CX world, we talk about, oh, you got to bring the customers in and the story gets told and it's so clear there. But hearing that it wasn't that the group was resistant, but it was actually, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And
they came to me.
Yeah. And I think, think about the legal team. There's a real chance that a legal team might say to someone, look, I don't deal with customers, right?
Yes.
That's, I write stuff or whatever, but I don't think about the customers. Yet in this example, proving that often teams that don't, air quotes here, interact with customers have the most impact on them.
100%.
And I got to tell you, if you layer then financial services on top of that, fun's not really a part of helping people understand this world. So you took a bold step. I mentioned in the introduction, bringing in cartoons, game shows, gamification, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
How did you choose humor to become your tool for reaching all of those roles, especially those that don't think of themselves as customer roles? And why did it work?
Well, I think you kind of said something that if you hadn't said, I would have tried to have got in on this session anyway, just a minute ago, in that when the program first launched, like you said, kind of in the intro, I did 53 sessions with people at different levels, different departments, different longevity and financial services. And I said, if I'm trying to get a program in here about culture, what do you need? Like, what's going to relate to you? What's going to make a difference? And actually, a bit of a theme that came out of that, and was one of the top 10 themes, was that I don't speak to a customer, so this isn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for me, actually, this is more for you if you don't speak to a customer, because you don't have any understanding. Whereas those heroes who are on the phones every day, they know what customers want. They just can't do the actions to make it better, whereas you can. And so that was kind of one of the main themes that come out. The second theme was, I don't have time for that. I'm busy. I've got things to do. I've got my objectives to meet. And so I thought, right, how am I going to do something that makes people want to be engaged, makes them want to find the time and to schedule something out in 3 weeks to come in the office? And how am I going to get them to think this is worth me going to?
Right.
And so fun was kind of the route that we went down. It was like, let's be different. If it fails, it fails, and let's learn from what we do. And I think learning from what we do has played a big part in our success, because whenever we've done a new initiative or a new event or a game show or a tour or anything like that, we always go and get feedback. And then when we've listened to that feedback, we've grown from it, and we've gone, actually, our finance department, they didn't particularly like it in that format, but our transformation teams did. So next time for transformation, we'll go and do it this way for them. But for finance, maybe we'll do it in a different way. And we've learned about, I feel like, and this is the first time I've ever said this out loud, and it's just come in my head. Like when you've got a group of friends, right? You've got a group of friends, Rick. I'm sure there's, like, for me, there's 4 of us. But all 4 of us are completely different. But I know how to speak to one of my friends about a situation. It could be very different from my other friend. And actually, this is literally the first time I thought that's kind of what it's like at Aegon. My POW transformation, I know that they love live events. I know they love a bit of competition. But my POW technology, I know I need to go to an exec session and then they'll engage because they're already there. And it's just learning the characteristics and what's relevant to you. How do you want this rolled out? And being very open to being told the way they want it and making that work, because that's how you get the most engagement. I feel like I've just had a brainwave, Rick. This has been very interesting.
That's what CX. So there you have it, folks. CX Passport with the scoop on Claire's methodology of using friends as the model for internal employee engagement and customer centricity programs. There you go. Yeah. You've got something new for you. Well, okay. I want to actually talk about that a little bit.
Yep.
You came into this CX role with a directive that was essentially, go make us customer centric. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds really great on paper, and it would be very attractive to take a job that way. But where did you actually start?
Well, I started with those research sessions, and I was like, okay, I know what I need to do, but I need to understand what's the current lay of the land. What's this current situation? How customer centric are people? How much do they know about our customer groups? And I decided to go down 2 routes. So the first one was, it was really interesting so we have 3 main customer groups at Aegon. We have financial advisors, we have workplace employees and employees, and we have what we call end customers who will do business with us directly. Okay. But initially, quite a low amount of Aegon colleagues could tell you what those 3 customer groups were, because they would predominantly work on one customer group. And that was one of the findings that we found.
Yeah.
And we was like, how can we be customer centric if we're not all totally sure who our customer groups are? And so one of my first things was, let's learn, let's teach them, let's educate people on who are our customers, what do they need from us, what are their experiences look like, what difference is their journeys. And so we created things that we called like curriculums, which were like 3-hour sessions, like educational sessions, but they were made up of 6 different modules. So it wasn't sit down 3 hours, Rick, and learn it all. Right. But those 6 modules were also all a different format. So one was a cartoon, one was a podcast, one was a day in the life of a customer video, one might be a CBT. And so we catered for all learning styles as well. So even if somebody was like, I'm a visual learner, I'm just going to watch the video, at least they watched something. And I think knowing that our goal wasn't, we're going to get everything right first time, we're going to get 100% engagement from 100 people. It was make everyone a bit better, and let's build that up. And so that was one of the 2 things that we first did, which was super, super successful holistically, and also obviously brought great awareness to having a program that people could engage with. But the second thing, which to this day, I still believe is the most important thing we've done, but is still the highest engaged initiative we've done, was introducing live call listening. So giving people the option to go and sit in our telephony centres, see the screens they're navigating, see the situation that they're sitting when they're taking these calls, actually hearing real-time conversations, and not only how do they react to that, but how do they process that on the screen, and how do they get through the systems, and how do they deliver that experience. And I think that to this day, I think the most recent stat I checked, 92% of colleagues leave with an increased understanding of their impacts on customers after doing live call listening. And it's because they see that whole experience. They see the systems. They see the fact that they maybe struggle to open a web page, and so it's keeping the caller waiting. And they see that actually a call is ringing because they can't get through that journey online, and that button's not working. And suddenly they're like, "That's me. Like I could fix that issue, that call you're doing. Like I could do that in my job." And so I think they're the two things we started. And we're about to launch our 4th curriculum, which is called Financial Advice Unpacked. Which we'll be sneak previewing with our exec teams actually next week. And to date, we're still 2 months ahead always for call listening. So if you chatted me today and said, "Claire, I want to sign up to live call listening," I'd say, "Okay, well, I can sign you up for May," because that's how popular it continues to be across all 3 locations.
Claire, that is mind-blowing to think that you've got to, there are companies that you have to drag people. Look, I want you to come listen to a call. And here you are saying that you've got an open table Resi type system where folks have to book a table to be able to experience that. I may want to come back to that because I had some thoughts on the employee side of that, but I want to take a little break here.
Okay.
And I know that when I have traveled across the pond, it can be nice to stop down in a lounge before or after that flight. So I invite you to join me here in the first class lounge. We'll move quickly here and have a little bit of fun. What is a dream travel location from your past?
Oh, from my past. So somewhere I've been.
That's right.
Okay, so I actually went to Capri. I was very lucky to go to Capri in Italy. My husband, I actually met him at Aegon. And they used to do like a top 20 person, got this all-inclusive trip. So cool. Not only did I get to go to Capri, it was fully paid for. And the day we checked out of our hotel, the Kardashians checked in. So that was kind of, that was the level of like luxury we had for those 5 days. And I would go there again tomorrow in a heartbeat.
That's awesome. Well, I've been to some nicer places in Italy. I don't know that I've been to, reality TV star level places.
I know.
But that sounds like that would be pretty darn nice. Well, what is a dream travel location you've not been to yet?
Oh, that is a great question. Do you know, so I don't know the location, but I know that I want to, those like houses where you can stay over the sea, like the huts, like the bungalows, anywhere with like a clear blue sea. I love my children, but no children.
Oh yeah.
Just a cocktail and the sun. That's my dream.
There is something spectacular about those two things, adults only and over the water bungalow. So yes, I can see why that would be the one that you would be targeting. What is a favorite thing of yours to eat?
Oh, Rick, how long have you got? Like, I am a foodie. Like, food is my thing. It's got Thai food. Like Thai food is like my top thing. Yeah, anything with king prawns.
Nice. So we need to find you adults only.
Yes.
Over water in Thai. We'll find someplace in
and
Thailand.
Don't forget the cocktail. The cocktail was top of the list as well.
All right. I thought about adding that as a question. I've got to find a way to nuance that into the first class lounge. What about the other way? What is something you were forced to eat, but you hated as a kid?
Oh, I've got a phobia of baked beans. Do you have baked beans in America? Do you know what they are? They're just, there's everything wrong in the world is in that tin. They're slimy, they're mushy. Oh no. And my children love them, but they make me feel poorly.
So we will not be serving that at the adults only over the water bungalow in Thailand. Yeah. There will be no baked beans.
I hope not.
Claire, sadly, it is time for us to leave the first class lounge. What is one travel item, not including your phone and not including your passport, that you will not leave home without?
A book. I love to read. And if I'm going anywhere, I'm going to have a book with me.
Boy, there is something, Claire, about a book that, especially when you're already in away, and so your brain is already kind of unlocked, and then you've got this book to really take you on that.
Proper immerse yourself into it as well.
Really can get into that book. I want to talk about those research sessions. And I mean, the number 53 is huge. Just that alone shows that there was a concerted effort. We are going to understand before we act, or at least in tandem with how we act.
Yeah.
who were your customers in that context of the research sessions? And when those research sessions identified a tug between your internal colleagues and your external customers, well, how do you decide who wins?
Well, that's a great question. So that was basically the first 6 weeks, my full-time job on the program. And to start with, the program was internal colleagues were my customers. It was let's build this understanding. And so I actually spent some time with some relevant people to ask for those who don't really attend live events, or maybe we've not really heard from them much before in like open conversations. I also got some longevity reports. So I looked at people who had been here for a long time, young people. It was literally everyone. I had members who report directly to our CEO. I had one with each and every one of those. I then had them with just people who are already culture champions, so they're already big on having a good internal culture. And I just felt it was really, really important for me that this program was never for one team, one department, one person. And if I had only had those conversations and put out there to, hi, if you want to come talk to me, then I would have already had people who were engaged. And that wasn't really my target audience. My target audience was those that wouldn't even have seen the post to say they don't want to come. And so I did spend a lot of time with people and said, tell me people who don't engage with things, or tell me from this list, who have you never met? But I did also speak to people, obviously, who were engaged, because I wanted to say, how do I keep you engaged? What do you like? What works? And so at the beginning, it was the customer was internal colleagues. Over time, it's been educating internal colleagues to benefit external customers, but actually also internal customers, because like we said a while ago, technology's internal customer is our customer services teams, whether that's a front office or a back office role. And so I would say our customers and who I'm trying to better their journeys has kind of developed over time. And initially it was just internal colleagues, but now I would say it is internal colleagues. It's then internal customers, which is different from internal colleagues, but also now it's by having this mindset and having people go back and doing things because they can, rather than because it's part of a massive budgeted project.
Right.
We're also benefiting external customers.
You said something there that triggered a thought, and I've mentioned that I wanted to come back to the live call listening.
Yep.
And it was when you said, if the agent is having trouble opening up a website. And then it combined with the thought of what you just said there of if a team hears how they can help another internal team, or they see something like that. I have seen in the past when I've been a part of live call listening or anything like that, that there's an immediate charge to fix because it's there. You see it. You see the struggle. You see the pain.
Yep.
But there's a balance to be struck there. And it's a balance between the immediacy of what you visually see in that moment and the emotional impact of that, with a roadmap, with a more thoughtful approach to what does a longer term approach look like. How are you, I guess, let me ask it this way. How are you choosing what to activate coming out of those live customer listening sessions and ensuring that it isn't just an emotional reaction, but is also something that is good for the long-term direction of the company?
Yeah. So, actually, one thing that there's two things. So at the end of doing live call listening, they get asked to do a reflection exercise that same day. And what we ask them to reflect on is, are there any actions you're taking away in your day job that you could do to improve customer experience? And then what we do is we keep up to date with them for the next 3 to 6 weeks, saying, how are you getting on? Do you need some help? Because what we've also built is we have what we call our promoter team. And that's 34 colleagues from across the whole of the business who use connecting with customers as a development opportunity and are basically like my mini culture army. And, they all come from different functions of the business. They can tell me what's going on in their world. I tell them what's going on here. They come and do gigs with us. So they help me create reels. They help host live panels, and they help create new starter sessions. And basically what we do with that network is make sure that all of the messages are coming back and forth. But people are tasked at the end of call listening to say if there's something they could take away with that. And because of the connections we've built, because we know who those people are who care about doing something better, but also because I work very, very closely with people who are leading like our 3-year big budget programs, doing an amazing job at that. I meet with them every month. So recently something came up and they said, a colleague said, well, we really need to improve our screens where the telephony handlers have to go and put our data in. And I was able to say to them, we're doing that. Here's the name of the lead, here's the project, because I'm aware roughly of a good chunk of things that are going on. And if I'm not, I probably know someone who will know. And so the actual delivery of that isn't on us.
Right.
However, the actual motivation and the connection and the enthusiasm to do it, we will help drive that.
That is, I don't know if I have much of a question as it is an observation. You said something in there that, well, caught my ears again. You're saying a lot of things that are catching my ears.
I'm glad I'm keeping you interested.
Well, I knew you would keep me interested. So this is just proving it. You mentioned we check back with them.
Yes.
3 to 6 weeks. There's an accountability component, not just a motivational component to it, but an accountability component to that, where I have also seen a lot of these live call sessions. Everybody gets excited and rah, and then they go back to their desk, and not that they forget, but they have their own day-to-day responsibilities.
Busy, don't they? The day-to-day.
So was that there from the beginning? And if not, what inspired you to create that, I would say, motivation / accountability approach?
Yeah, so it wasn't there, but only for about 2 or 3 weeks. And then, so Lizzie, who works for me on the program, she's brilliant. So she completely manages that call listening program for me now. And we sat down and we said, we want people to know that we're here for them, but also psychologically, like you just said, when they leave, they're pumped up. They're going to change the world. They're going to change every system that we could ever touch. And realistically, that's not going to happen. So we was like, let's just nudge them. Let's just remind them they said that they were going to do this. Let's just see what they said. And, quite frequently they will say, oh, actually, Claire, or actually, Lizzie, I haven't looked at that yet. But now that you've emailed me, let me go away and speak to someone. And then it just gets those cogs turning again. And so sometimes they are already on it. And, there's another lady who recently actually had someone come sit with her. But by having someone come sit with her, as she was taking calls, she noticed a trend in 3 letters that just weren't good enough. And then she emailed me and she said, Claire, we need to improve these letters. Like, it's just a sentence, but it's causing so much confusion.
That's awesome.
And I've been working with her for like 6 weeks now just to see if we can get some wording changed. But, previously we've had wording changed on a withdrawal process, actually. And they were getting something like 88, I might be a little bit wrong, 88 calls a week, which equated to something like I can't remember, 1.3 FTE or something similar to those kind of numbers because of one sentence on a letter. And so as soon as that was removed, like over a year, that I think it saved 1.3 FTE, and that was one sentence in a letter.
Yeah.
Worth of calls.
Well, let's actually close out with talking about that, because that's one thing you talked about. Like we said, the big 3-year vision, and then there's also these small things. And these small things end up being big things. You have told me about these small changes like this, adjusting an email wording or tweaking payment authority limits that you have told me before, saving over 2 FTE a day. And so often when we talk about improvements and customer experience and all that, we can fail to tie to an actual financial result. Well, saving 2 FTE a day is a financial result.
Yeah.
So why do you think little changes often get overlooked when, just like we're talking about, the collective impact is anything but little?
So I think as a business, we want to make everything better for everyone. And so they go with the big bang effect, right? And I would imagine a lot of business do the same thing. What's going to achieve the best results for the most amount of people?
Right.
And that's kind of where the focus is. And I get that. And that's probably is the right place to have focus. But what we're encouraging, no more budget, no more projects, no more additional FTE people. We're encouraging people to care about customers, to understand the impact that they have on their experiences, and just do it yourself. Like, these things might take 20 minutes for you to do on the side of your desk. You don't need sign off, you don't need approval, or maybe you do just need sign off or approval, but actually all you need is one sentence in an email to say, do you know what, Claire, remove that sentence and it's done. And by us knowing who that person in risk or that person in legal is to have that conversation with, you don't need a project team. you could come to me and go, Claire, I want to change this. And I could go, Rick, I know exactly who you can speak to.
Mm-hmm.
Go and ask that person. And because that person is also customer centric and they've got 20 minutes, they're just going to say yes and it's going to get done. So
see, this
it's
is
just
great.
behaviors and it's the mindset.
Yeah. Well, let's end it right there, because I want people to end with this thought of, it doesn't require the massive to make the
No.
input. And another thing that you kind of snuck in there too, you do have a brilliant way of like dropping these wisdom nuggets in there, but the connectivity value of a customer team like yours, I don't know
100%.
that often gets said as directly, that it's not just about a customer centric and understanding and all of that, but it's the connectivity that would link these disparate groups and functions into something that solves for the customer and then solves for the business as a whole. Claire, I have really enjoyed this. You've got a lot of wisdom out there. If folks wanted to get to know a little bit more about you, your approach to customer, your approach to, well, how the little gets the big done.
Yep.
What's the best way for them to learn more?
I would just say LinkedIn, and I'm happy to speak to anybody who's as customer curious, customer passionate as I am. So LinkedIn, come join me.
I love it. Oh, I like that. Customer curious. Okay.
Curious.
I think
Are
got
you
all sorts of
customer
new.
curious now, Rick? Is that something you're going to add to your bio?
Yeah, I just might throw that in the old LinkedIn headline. We'll see how that goes. Claire, this is exactly how CX Passport should go. There's a ton of great, thoughtful wisdom shared, along with these little drips of nuggets that just get dropped in there that are absolutely delightful. I really enjoyed today. Claire, thank you for being on CX Passport.
Thank you for having me.